Breaking just moments ago, the man convicted of murdering 4 University of Idaho students plea and get a new trial. Brian Kohberger says his plea was made on false promises and wrong information and claims he is innocent. Kohberger is looking to use post-conviction relief and is arguing he had bad counsel. We're going to have more on this breaking story when we get it. This is breaking details into us right now that he's looking to take back that guilty plea. In fact, we're waiting on any brand new details to come into us right now as this is breaking. Obviously, this is just a horrific time for these families as they have been following every detail of that courtroom drama. Let's bring in Donna Rotuno now. Donna, can you please jump on in here? As
Sure.
I can only imagine the feelings that these families are having right now, knowing that this man is looking to take back that guilty plea. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's really unbelievable, Sandra. And at first I heard it and I thought, well, how can he do that? Usually there's a time frame in which you can file these types of motions, and we're far past that time frame. But apparently, I've been doing some research here in the last couple of minutes, and in Idaho, there is no time frame that you have to show. I think the wording was a manifest injustice in order to have your plea taken back. And so that's a very high bar, right? He's going to have to show that there was something so extraordinary that got him to take this plea, and that there was an injustice that happened because of it. So I think it's a high bar, and I think he's going to have a difficult time doing it. And I would be very surprised if the judge allows it, because the judge is going to say, I went over all your rights with you. We went over them in court painstakingly. Remember, they had an entire a day set aside to take the plea. And so it was a full day of plea. And so I have a hard time believing a judge would grant this, but the fact that this was filed, the fact that he makes certain claims that he makes in this filing, it's pretty explosive. And as you said, absolutely horrible for these families who really wanted to do the best they could do to put this portion of this tragedy behind them.
So Donna, it's a process called post-conviction relief. It essentially allows him to challenge his sentence or conviction. He's apparently saying he had bad legal advice and he wants to take a look at this again, and he's innocent. How often does something like this ever succeed or get past the judge in the first place?
Very rarely. Very rarely. Normally, there's a time frame in which you basically have an absolute right to withdraw your plea if it falls under certain circumstances, right? Like, I didn't understand, there's new evidence, my lawyer misled me. There's things that you can say, and that's within a 30-day period. But after this amount of time goes by, and you look at this standard in Idaho, it's a very, very, very high standard to show be something so egregious that he would have to prove. And I just don't see that here under the evidence. I mean, there's been so much talk about this case since the plea. I mean, we've listened to books being written. We've heard criminologists. We heard the one expert who said the defense didn't do the job that he thought she should do. But, in listening to those people, all of that to me was very subjective. And so I don't see, if those are the types of things that he's going to rely on, I don't see that rising to the level of this manifest injustice that he would have to prove. But we'll see what happens. But I think, as I said, most of the time these things are not successful.
I just want to make clear that this is all happening because Brian Kohberger is finally speaking to the press. He gave a phone interview to the New York Times, which is relaying this information to the American public. The Times did reach out to the father of one of the victims to get a comment, and the father did not want to discuss yet without talking to his family first. Again, can't imagine what they're going through. But he had not, Donna, made any public comments or given any interview before we heard these words spoken to the New York Times. He also wouldn't reveal anything else about any evidence that was exchanged in the courtroom. But he said in this phone call from prison in Idaho that he is claiming absolute innocence. He says, quote, "My actual innocence is my truth, and the plea hinged on by false promises and blatant disinformation must be withdrawn." He just said this last night, and he reiterated in that phone call that he had an absolute claim of innocence. Donna, perhaps this was his plan all along. We have no way to know.
Right. We have no way to know. And, of course, what else is he going to say at this point if this is something that you're trying to do? I mean, Sandra, if I had $1 for every defendant I represented in my career that told me they were absolutely innocent, and then I showed them video of the complete opposite. So this is not unusual to hear this. But in a case like this, where we watch this person come to court and sit in court and listen to every one of those family members say to him, you took away our loved one, and sat there and had, zero emotion one way or another, and never seemed to really be attacking what his lawyers were doing. And he had the opportunity to speak up in a courtroom, and he had an opportunity to say to the judge, "This is not what I was being told." I mean, anytime you take a plea, the parameters of that plea are spelled out, not only in writing, he signs off on it, but the judge goes through all of that with you. And he had an opportunity to raise all of these things. So, actual innocence is difficult to prove unless you can prove that you were somewhere else and you're on video doing something somewhere. Actual innocence is very difficult to prove, because remember, when you walk into a criminal court, the finding is guilty or not guilty. It's never guilty or innocent.
And Donna, Kohberger was sentenced almost exactly 1 year ago. It was July 23rd of last year when he got 4 consecutive life sentences with no possibility of parole. You have to imagine the families were at least trying to move on and wrap this up in their minds since then, but they're going to get this news, and I can only imagine this is going to seriously reopen old wounds here.
Oh, this is going to put them right back to square one and day one, because if a court were to allow this, you are starting from the very beginning, and this legal process could take years if a court were to allow this. And if they had to then go back and actually have a trial, I mean, think about the fact that, this family, they're one of the reasons that the government said that they were going to take the death penalty off of the table was to remove all of the extra appeals he would get and all the court processes that they would have to keep coming back for, and trying to remove that from them. And now here we are. This is right back at them front and center, and they're going to have to deal with all this, not only the press, but what's actually going to happen in a courtroom.
Gosh, Donna, please do stand by with us on this breaking news.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.
Snap a photo, list your item. Easy. Once it sells, the buyer covers shipping. And with 0 seller fees, you keep every dollar you earn.
Less clutter in your home, more money in your pocket.
With millions of users and low cost for your buyers, it's easy to start selling and earning. Start selling on Vinted today.
Design the perfect voice for your brand with 11 Labs. Change the way you record podcasts, voiceovers, and branded content with the #1 AI-powered voice-generating technology. Stop searching for the perfect voice and stop wasting time re-recording take after take. Try 11 Labs for free and start elevating your content today.